Good morning and welcome to Althea. Yes, online, because Denver has turned into the North Pole. So welcome to Althea. It's lovely to be here. We're keeping everyone safe with the ice on the roads and minus temperatures and more snow to come. This is how come we are on Zoom. It's so lovely. I see Barbara and Mary and Ricky, and I see Bridget. Bridget, welcome from MSU Denver. Thank you for all being here right now. Everyone is on mute. If you are new to Althea, you may drop us a note on Facebook. And also you may drop us a note of a prayer request. If you're new here, I'm gonna give you a brief description of Althea. Althea Center was founded over 100 years ago by three powerful women known as the Brooks sisters, one especially known as Nona Brooks. Althea was founded with First Divine Science in mind. Later the name was changed. And it's a new thought, non-denominational, welcome center, oneness center, spiritual center. These teachings are older than the 1800s. They go back thousands of years. And many of the women and men that walk through these doors of Althea, buildings at 14th North Williams in Denver, Colorado, in the Capitol Hill area, people such as Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, Ernest Holmes, and so many new thought metaphysical leaders walk through those doors at 14th and Williams. So we would love for you to stop by and visit us sometime. And many times afterwards, we have like donuts and muffins, and sometimes someone brings a salad. So you could join us for community. And a lot of our members have been at Althea for over 30 years. We're very metaphysical, extremely open to the oneness of all. We celebrate all faiths, all sexual orientations, all races. We have yoga events. So please go to our altheacenter.org on our website. You'll see all our events. I'm going to have a workshop in March coming up called Herstory, about the divine feminine energy of the New Thought movement. So welcome. And you may also follow us later on YouTube and follow us on altheacenter.org. And you may also make donations there. And definitely come by when we're warm again and visit us in person. So this is going to be a different one. I'm not going to be a talking head for a whole hour. However, we are centered in prayer and in oneness. So I'm going to turn on some music and some Tibetan bowls. But I invite you all, if you're able and willing and you're a place where you could gently close your eyes and take a deep breath. And right here and right now, no matter where we are, Spirit is, that divine creator, known as God and so many other names, but the names are irrelevant, for it's pure love beauty. For God is all there is, that light, the supreme creator of all the snow, the waves, the sun, the rain. And we are unified with that. Even though throughout technology, we are still one in a divine oneness of love and blessings. So take a moment. I'm going to play some Tibetan bowls. And we're going to breathe in the healing light of this, of the oneness. Take a moment and be still enough. is one life, one sound, and one joy. And we are that joy and that freedom light. For I know this time is blessed, and we are a healing. We are a healing. So this week will be part of a two-part series. Next week we will be in person. There's freedom in the focus. And there's a beautiful freedom as we have a freedom in technology. And it's so nice where I see all the names here. We have 30 live on right now. And the freedom is not only from a perspective of tomorrow, it is Dr. Martin Luther King Day, but it's a freedom that he stood for. And so many people like him. I'm even thinking in this moment of Susan B. Anthony. There's so many people. I've even think about biblically Moses. Freedom is everyone's birthright. And there is a joy and expression of that. And there's a healing. And no one or no thing gets to take away that freedom, that light, that love, that joy. So everything is in a harmonious oneness. And I'm going to pull up a couple of readings I will share with you. From Harriet Tubman. Every great dream begins with a dreamer. Always remember, you have within you the strength, the patience, and the passion to reach the stars, to change the world. And I believe we get to change the world, no matter what outward appearances may show up. I believe when we had the first shutdown of COVID, that was a test. I believe our ancestors had a test with the Depression, or even the things that happened in Europe, or even the Black Plagues. Many times the human condition is being tested. Do you really believe in your faith of oneness, of being free? Spirit, God, the creator, it's in so many sacred texts that God gave us our own free will. There's a movie called The Green Mile. I don't know if many of you all have seen it. And it was about freedom. It really was freedom in the magic. Nelson Mandela was free in his heart and soul. So no matter what we may see this year or the coming weeks, we have a freedom of choice. And Martin Luther King, in one of his writings, all life is interrelated. We are all caught in an inescapable network of mutuality, tied in a single garment of destiny. Whatever affects one directly affects all indirectly. We are all made to live together because of the interrelated structure of reality. Martin Luther King was born a very poor Black man and left this planet touching the world and didn't know at the time he did have a dream in his youth. And even though he was a Baptist minister, and here at Althea, I will say we acknowledge all religions, but a lot of his writings were very new thought, very metaphysical, because he believed in love. He stated, love your enemies, for they do not know. He believed we were all from oneness. He celebrated women, and he did honor the gay and lesbian community at the time as best as he could. He did not shun anyone, and he knew his life was short-lived. He knew it. He always spoke about it. He knew he had a mission, and his mission was love and also freedom. So I feel we are all to step in that. And yesterday I was tested in the freedom of choice. My husband and I went to Vegas for a couple of days. I was in Vegas yesterday till last night. And then I was watching the weather. And I had a choice to make as I was watching 9 news on the plane of this center closed, this yoga event, the botanical gardens, everything was closing. Now, my ego could have showed up and said, nope, I need to be on stage. I need to be on purpose. We need to be together. And by the way, I do know of some, I'll say ministers, spiritual directors, other events that no matter what, even though the news says do not go out unless you really have to, we can gather in technology. So I had a freedom of choice to either get out of my way and put everyone's safety and just pure comfort of being warm at home in place. That's the freedom we have. And that's the freedom of technology we have. We all have beautiful choices to make. And I know tomorrow is an inauguration day. And I've seen people, I even heard some people walking by me in Vegas just upset that the inauguration is the same day as MLK Day. It's the same day, but we get to choose. You get to choose to even what you celebrate. Some states don't celebrate MLK Day. Some states don't. Some people will watch news, watch inauguration. Some people don't. That's freedom. We need to honor everyone else's freedom of choice. I find it very odd because America was built on freedom. The United States is more or less like a company. Now, I know some people may disagree with me in that, but there are rules. There's a president, there's a vice president. Look at it, almost look at it some days as a company, and you will find yourself in a place of neutrality. Because we do get to vote, but not everyone is happy in a vote. Similar to a company. You almost could look at the board of directors as the Congress and the Senate. But America's underbelly is really freedom, is creativity. Look all the people that continue to come here. And I don't believe that will be stopped. We have to believe in a higher force. We have to believe in the freedom of light and love. And another thing we get to do that we do in these teachings is pray and meditate. And we do this thing called affirmative prayer, where we affirm that what we don't know, it's almost like Reiki, if you're familiar with Reiki. It's a manifestation of what we physically don't see. And we get to choose to feel in our heart love. We get to choose to either watch the news or be on social media or worried if TikTok's going to shut down. We get to choose. We get to choose to play cards instead of watching football. We get to choose. We get to choose to do artwork. And we get to choose how we feel. Freedom is in focus. That's the true meaning, what I feel, as Colorado and many states do celebrate Martin Luther King Day, and United States celebrate 4th of July. And Canada has its own Freedom Day. France, every country has a Freedom Day. But how about we start celebrating that every day? That every morning you get to say, thank you for my life. Thank you for the small things, even when the internet works, or that you get to write a letter. Because a lot of times we take the little things for granted. And even in our cold weather in Colorado, and most of the country is cold. I watched the weather this morning. 90% of the country's cold. Florida is going to have a cold spell. Being grateful that you have heat. Because what we give in gratitude, the universe gives back to us all the time. And being grateful, we have places to have yoga and book clubs and gathering together, being grateful to smile and hug and love one another. And Mary, I see you with your fur friend behind you, being grateful for our fur babies in our life and for a gentle smile. That's the freedom we have. That's the freedom we have. We have the freedom to be intuitive, to dive deeper in spiritual oneness. I believe this year is going to be a year like no other. At Althea, our year theme is coming alive in 2025. And I believe that coming alive is being in the freedom of love, of light, leaving back that old. In astrology, all the planets are shifting. You can see Mars at night without a telescope. You can see a pink star. It's amazing. So if you have a time tonight, if it's clear where you live, you can see Venus. It's so bright. It's amazing. We get to see into that we are in that oneness, in that oneness of joy and expression. And so many other people. I'm going to put up a slide right now. And this is by Kwame Nkrumah. He died in 1962. He was the first prime minister of Ghana. Freedom is not something that one people can bestow upon another as a gift. They claim it as their own, and none can be kept from it. None. He had 5 assassination attempts. Sadly, he died in Romania, where he was sent to exile. People were afraid of him. And when I say people, it was people of a lower energy. The British government was terrified of him because he gave Africa the power to say, no, we do not need to be ruled. And Ghana is still free to this day. And he also believed in a freedom of religion. He didn't speak of it a lot because he was working on one part of his freedom of consciousness at a time, was his people. It was his people he was focused on. And then later he was looking at religion, how everything, that freedom, a lack of freedom, is from fear. And I believe we're stepping into that. As I mentioned earlier, Susan B. Anthony, and we think of so many, Gloria Steinem, so many women. Everything on our planet is about freedom. And this prime minister, Kwame, he knew he had a short time, just like Martin Luther King Jr. did. They all knew, but they did it anyway. And they feared not. And this is also a time on the 21st this week will be Ernest Holmes. He's the founder of religious science and actually spoke at our building, Althea. Ernest Holmes said the divine plan is one of freedom. The inherent nature of man is ever seeking to express itself in the terms of freedom, because freedom is the birthright of every living soul. I am a graduate of religious science through Centers of Spiritual Living, but he was a divine scientist. Knew Nona Brooks, one of the creators of Althea Center. And Ernest Holmes is one of the first ministers in America to put Black women on the cover of Science of Mind magazine. He was yelled at by many other ministers. He did this in the 60s, very controversial. And those ministers, he lovingly asked him to leave his religious science organization. He said, we believe in oneness. That means we celebrate women and all races. This man was about 5 feet tall, but yes, stood, I say, hundreds of feet tall. His magazine, Science of Mind, is still in existence, celebrating LGBTQ and everyone. Even after he died in 1960, people have held that promise. And people like me have gone through all of those teachings that he learned from Emma Curtis Hopkins and Nona Brooks of Divine Science. He was for women. He was for all races. He practiced oneness. He lived in it till his very breath. That's freedom, the birthright of every soul. And we get to be the legacy of all that, no matter what religion you're from. That is the truth of the divine source of God. That's the truth. It's freedom. So whenever anyone tries to say you can't or you shouldn't or I wouldn't do that, take a deep breath instead of going to fighting. And sometimes just say, oh, I see. And you may say, what do you mean I see? They're not in the same place at this time that you're at. And you can't make them see it. Sometimes people can't see when they're trying to control. But we get to say to ourselves, I believe in freedom, and freedom is my birthright. And you get to stand as an advocate and an ally for spiritual freedom, for spiritual oneness. And you get to lovingly say, hey, I don't agree with that. And if someone wants to fight and argue with their right to be right, you have the freedom to lovingly walk away and lovingly end the conversation. And you may even bless them on their way because they may not be ready. And it's okay. It's okay. But we get to raise the vibration of the consciousness. We get to do that. We get to practice it every day. It's a spiritual practice. And if you find yourself in challenge with that, meditate. Take it in a meditation of how you can stand in the light of spiritual freedom as we come alive in 2025. Of how we can do that more, of how we can shine our light and not force it, but be that oneness, be the joy, be the freedom. And in summary, Martin Luther King was not just about Black rights, he was about everyone's right to freedom. He worked with Paul Newman, Marlon Brando. He marched with every race. And he said, I decided to stick with love. Hate is too great of a burden to bear. And isn't that the truth? Love raises our frequency. And that's what we're to hold this year. Martin Luther King said, love your enemies. He said that to Andrew Young. Many of you young people don't know who Andrew Young was, but he was a civil rights leader who marched with King and said they weren't just anti, they were marching for love. And when I think about it, they were marching for oneness. They were not against anyone. They were for peace, like Mahatma Gandhi. And I believe we're not waiting for one person to save us. We really are the ones we've been waiting for. So whatever we see this year, this week, so many things have shifted from New Orleans to Las Vegas to the fires in California where our brothers and sisters are healing. We get to pray for them. We get to send money or clothes or items. I know people that are going to California to help because they don't know what to do. I'm personally saving books for any spiritual centers that may have lost their books. I have extra spiritual metaphysical books that I'm going to ship out and find out whatever else they need. That's a freedom. And that's part of love. Because that's what we're here to do. We're here to love one another. And even when some of our brothers and sisters want to divide, we get to be in love. We don't get to feed into that anymore. We get to feel into the oneness as we look at the stars and the moon and see Mars and Venus and the Jupiter alignment. We're part of that. We're stardust. And it's love that created all of us. And that same beautiful God that gave us free will in joy and expression and harmony. So if you're willing to take a breath, I'm going to pray us out. And I invite you all to just chant this week love, love of freedom. For right now, I know where everyone is throughout the country and our world, from the North Pole to the South Pole, across the equator, spirit is all there is. That grand alignment that created the sun and the moon and all the planets and all the galaxies we don't even see with our bare eyes. There's only love, and that love is freedom, and it's in our hearts, and we're unified. I know that for myself, for Althea, everyone on this call and everyone looking at this later on throughout their day and weeks and even months, that freedom is all there is, and love. And we get to chant that and be that. And I affirm where those that are in strife and confusion, I know for them, we know for them, love, that we're unified with all sentient beings, with everyone, that there's a clarity of love and healing on our planet. There's a clarity in California. There's warmth in people's hearts where they are cold, where people are seeking shelter from the cold. I know, sense, and feel that people are seeking them to give them warmth and nurturing and love and healing. There's a healing emerging on the planet. And I know, sense, and feel we all standing for that. And I'm grateful for our technology, for all the love, all the prayers that are pouring forth to Althea and all spiritual centers throughout the world, knowing that the prayer is already answered. And I release this into the divine law. And together we say, and so it is. Amen and Ashe. And I invite you all to continue to give to Althea. You go to altheacenter.org, and that goes to for our building, for our musicians that you will see again when everything warms up next week, for classes. Altheacenter.org, you could follow us and you'll see us on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on YouTube. And we have concerts that come up, workshops, classes. There's book clubs, community gatherings. There's always something going on at Althea. So make sure to follow us. If you have a prayer request, we have prayer partners. I see the prayer requests. A group of us pray over all those requests. You can put it in Facebook, or even you can email me at spiritualdirector@altheacenter.org. They are held in light, in love, and high consciousness. And please stop by and see us. And if you're out of town, just drop us a note on Facebook or Instagram, knowing we see it, and know that your prayers are always answered. And we're grateful for all of those that have always given time, talent, and treasure to Althea. We're always looking for volunteers to come and help clean up, help usher. And we're always looking for singers and new talent as well. Thank you very much. Have a beautiful, warm, and blessed Sunday. And take time to even meditate or do something fun this week. And send someone love. Smile at what you think is a stranger, because no one's strangers. We're all connected. Many blessings in love and light. Be well, and thank you.